Dear students, today we'll see experiment number 11 from your C programming laboratory. The aim of this experiment is develop a program to sort the given set of n numbers using bubble sort. Okay, so in theory you might have studied what is meant by sorting, searching techniques. So let me brief here. So sorting means what? Sorting is nothing but a process of arranging the elements in a particular order. So usually there are two orders, that is, one is in ascending order, another one is the descending order. Ascending means the elements will be arranged so that the lowest element will be at the beginning and highest element will be at the end, and from beginning till the end the elements will go on increasing, that is in increasing order. And descending means it is in the decreasing order. So again in C we can perform this sorting by using the different techniques that are available. So again for the sorting also we have the several techniques, as we saw while discussing the searching also. Okay, so here we have the simplest sort. Simplest sort, what it will do, so starting from first element till the last element, it will go on comparing the elements one after the other and it will perform the sorting. But again, in order to increase the efficiency, they have evolved with the number of different sorting algorithms. Okay, so here out of those different varieties that are available for performing the sorting, here we have one as an example, that is bubble sort. So how exactly this bubble sort is work? So as we saw, all these algorithms are for the same purpose, that is sorting the elements in ascending order. It depends, if you want to sort the elements in ascending order you can do, else you can sort the elements in descending order also. So usually when it comes for sorting, we will consider the examples for sorting in ascending order only. Okay, so say here also we will consider the same type of example, that is sorting elements in ascending order. So as per the aim of this experiment, we have to use the bubble sort technique to sort the given set of n numbers. So in general the variable n will have the total number of elements. So we have n number of elements and we have to perform the sorting operation by using this bubble sort. So let us see how this bubble sort will work. So as the name itself indicates, bubble sort. Why this name came bubble? You consider one real-time example. So if you have a calm water in the well or in lake, okay, so in the calm water, whenever you throw a stone, what happens? It is going to see, wherever that stone is dropped, so it is going to create one small circle. Okay, so whatever that small circle is created around that stone, so what happens again, that small circle will gradually starts growing, and it will start growing until it reaches the end of that particular well or the lake. So in that time again some more cycles will be generated. So again one after the other the cycles are generated, and each circle is going to enlarge itself and it is going to occupy the edges. So these are called as ripples. Whatever the circular arrangements that are generated and which are going to occupy the ends, these are called as usually ripples. So here this bubble sort algorithm is based on this concept. So that's why the name bubble sort came for this algorithm. So how there is a relation between the bubble sort technique and this one? So as we saw, the circle at the beginning it was smaller, but gradually it is going to increase its size, and whenever it becomes larger it is going to occupy the dead end. Okay, in the same way in bubble sort also, whenever you will be given with the list of elements, so what it will do is it is going to find the largest element from that list. Remember this, whenever a list of elements is given to the bubble sort technique, it is going to find the largest element from that list, and that largest element will be kept at the end. because we know that whenever you sort the elements in ascending order, the largest element will be at the end. Okay, in the first iteration it will do this. So whenever it keeps the largest element at the end, so it is already in its final position. So for the next iteration, what it will do, except that largest element which is kept at the end, it will consider the remaining elements, and in the remaining elements again it will do the same thing. Again it will find the largest element. Okay, and whenever it finds the largest element, what it will do, again it will keep it at the end of this new list. So that element will be just one position to the left of the first element whatever you have put. So in the first element you have put the the largest element. Okay, in the second element, in the second iteration also, from the remaining elements you are going to find the largest one, and that will be again kept at the end of this new list. End of new list means, remember, we have not considered the previously kept element which is already kept at the end. So that's why in the next iteration, whatever the largest element you keep, this will be kept just one position before the largest element. So this will be next to the largest element. So in this way, again in the subsequent iterations also, whenever a particular element is found as largest, it will be kept at the end, and in the next iteration we will not consider that one. So this is going to resemble the process of settling down the larger circles at the end. So that's why the name bubble sort came for this particular technique. So now let us see how exactly we can write a program for this. Okay, so here this is the C program for performing this bubble sort technique. So here the name of this experiment is develop a program to sort the given set of n numbers using bubble sort. So already we saw this. So your program starts with the inclusion of stdio.h header file. So after this we have the main function, that is void main, and after this we have the variables declaration. So for our program we need these variables. So again you know that in order to sort the elements we should have the set of elements. So to store the set of elements we need to have an array, as we saw in the previous discussions. So here we take one integer array A of size 10. Okay, so that we can store at max 10 elements into this array A. So after that we take some temporary local variables like I, j, n and temp. Okay, so for what purpose we have declared these variables, so we'll discuss, we'll see as and when we use these variables in our program. Okay, so after this, so initially we have to display this message on the screen, because although you have declared an array variable of some maximum size 10 or 20, so you have to read the size from the user, how many elements he want to enter. Okay, so that's why first you have to display this message on the screen, that is printf enter the size of array. Okay, so when you display this message, that is enter the size of array, so the user is going to enter the size of array, means how many elements you want to enter. So that we read in the variable n by using this scanf, that is scanf %d %n. Okay, so we know that the user is going to enter n number of elements. So this is similar to whatever the problem statement we have here. Okay, so after this we have to read the elements from the user now. Okay, so to read the element from the user now, okay, to read these array elements, so we enter this, we display this message on the screen, that is enter the array elements, and here we know that there are n number of elements, that is array elements, and here, so based on that we can read the n number of elements here by using this for loop, that is for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, scanf %d %a of I. So this already you know that by using scanf we can read the number of elements into the array A by using this for loop, that is for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, because here n is the number of elements. So this I will be executed for n number of times, that is it is going to read the n number of elements into the array A. So after this, just to compare or just to check whether we have read all the elements correctly or not, so we'll display the elements that are read before sorting. We have not yet sorted the elements. As it is, after reading the elements from the user, we'll display those elements on the screen. So for that we have printf array element, it's array elements, just a minute, array elements before sorting. So we display this heading on the screen, so that the user will come to know that these are the array elements before sorting. Okay, so this will also help the user to check whether he has entered the elements correctly or not, because here we are going to display the elements that are read by read from the user into the array A, and after that the content of array A will be sorted. So that's why it is helpful for the user also to check whether he has entered correct elements or not. So that's why first it will display this heading, that is array elements before sorting. Okay, and below this we have to display the content of this array A. So as we saw in the previous programs also, so here the same thing is used. Instead of scanf we have to use printf here to display the content. Okay, so here for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, printf %d slash n a of I. Why slash n? Because I want the every element should be displayed on the next line, so that the elements will be displayed one below the other. Okay, so now we have read the size of the array here, we have read the array elements, we have displayed the array elements also before sorting. Okay, so now we have to see, now we'll see how exactly this bubble sort technique is going to sort the elements. Okay, so that actual part is present in this two for loops. So these two for loops are the heart of this particular program. Okay, so actual bubble sort technique is implemented in these two for loops. Okay, so before we see these programming statements, I have one simple example of this for the bubble sort. So along with that example we'll discuss this program here. Okay, so here the example we have here is, so hope all of you can see this. So here the already we have the elements. So as an example we have taken the 5 elements here. So the elements are 5, 1, 12, -5 and 16. So these we have to sort. Okay, so we'll see how exactly this bubble sort algorithm will work. So basic idea we know that each time it is going to find the largest element, and that largest element will be kept at its final position, that is kept at the end. Okay, but how exactly it is going to find the largest element? So that approach is shown here. Okay, so here this is the given list of elements, that is 5, 1, 12, -5 and 16. So what it will do is it will compare the adjacent elements, and here if the left hand side element is greater than right hand side element, it is simply going to swap. Swapping means exchanging. Okay, so it will start from this first two pairs. So adjacent means the near neighborhood elements. So the first two elements are 5 and 1. Okay, so here it will compare the 5 and 1, and it will check whether the first element is greater than second element. So the condition is, if the first element is greater than second element, we have to swap. If the first element is not greater than second element, we no need to do anything. We have to consider the next pair of elements. Okay, so here it is given, that is here 5, whether 5 is less than 1, whether 5 is whether 5 is greater than 1. Yes, it is greater than 1. So in that case we have to swap. Swapping means exchanging the two elements. Okay, so here as 5 is greater than 1, so we have to perform the swap. Swapping means we have to exchange the content of these two, that is 5 comes here and 1 goes here. You can see here, so 1 comes here and 5 goes to next position. Okay, so after this, in the next iteration we have to consider the next two elements. In the first element in the first iteration we have considered first and second. In the second iteration we have to consider second and third. In the third iteration we have to consider fourth and fifth, third and fourth, and after that fourth and fifth, and so on. Okay, so after this all instruction, after all these instruction iterations, will get the final element at its final position, that is at the end. So that is what we have done here. Okay, So we'll see the example. So in the first iteration, the 5 and 1 are compared. So as 5 is greater than 1, so we have to swap, and we'll exchange 5 and 1. So as a result, 1 comes in the first place and 5 goes in the second place. Okay. So after this, in the second iteration, we have to consider the second and third element. So see, remember, second element is not 1. The 1 has come to first element and second element is 5 now. So second element is 5 and third element is 12. So again the same condition we have to check whether 5 is greater than 12. No, 5 is less than 12. So that's why okay. Okay means we no need to do swapping. We have to simply consider the next element. Okay. So again after this we don't need to swap these two elements. So we'll simply consider the next two elements. So after 5 and 12, next two elements are 12 and minus 5. Okay. So again we have to check whether the left hand side element is greater than right hand side element. So here left hand side element is 12, right hand side element is minus 5. 12 greater than minus 5, the condition true, we have to swap. Okay. So here after swapping, so minus 5 comes here and 12 comes here. Okay. So here after this we have to consider the next two elements. So the next two elements are 12 and 16. So again we have to check the same condition whether the left hand side element is greater than right hand side element. So whether 12 is greater than 16. No means it is 12 is less than 16. So okay means no need to perform the swapping. Okay. So at the end after this we don't have any the subsequent elements. So that's why this is the end of the first iteration. So in each iteration we find the largest element and that is kept at the end. So here you can observe out of all these elements, which is the largest one? 16 is the largest one. So here out of all these elements 16 is the largest one and this is already in its final position. So 16 is kept in its final position. Okay. So after this we have to consider the next iteration. So for the next iteration what we have to do? Whatever the largest element you have kept at its end, you should not consider this. Apart from this, whatever the remaining elements are there. So in this example it is 1, 5, minus 5 and 12. So only 4 elements you have to consider for the next iteration, and out of these again you have to find the largest element and that should be kept at its end. Okay. So that's what we do here. In the next iteration we will not consider the 16. You can see the 16 is not activated at all. Okay. So again the same steps are followed. So first we will consider the first two elements. So 1 and 5. We check whether 1 is greater than 5. No, the condition is false. So 1 is less than 5. So okay means no need to perform the swapping. Okay. So after this the next two elements are 5 and minus 5. That is taken here, 5 and minus 5. And we have to check whether the left element is greater than right element. Yes, the 5 is greater than minus 5. So we have to swap. So after swapping, the minus 5 comes here, 5 goes here. So minus 5 and 5. Okay. So after this the next two elements are 5 and 12. Okay. So here again we have to perform the same comparison, that is whether left element is greater than right element. No, because 5 is not greater than 12, 5 is less than 12. So that's why okay. So after this no need to consider the next two elements because the 16 is already kept in its final position in the previous iteration only. So we no need to consider this 16. So apart from this, whatever these 4 elements are there, these we have considered, and at the end of this particular step we have found the largest element among these 4 as 12, and this 12 is kept at its final position. Okay. So don't think like final position means it is the end, because except this whatever these 4 elements are there, out of these 4 the final position is the 4th position. So here we keep this one. Okay. So in the first iteration we got 16 in its final position, second iteration we got this 12 in its final position. Okay. So after this again in the next iteration we have to consider the remaining elements after this element. So this is already in final position in the first iteration. Here 12 is in its final position. That's why in the next iteration we have only these 3, that is 1, minus 5 and 5. Okay. So again from 1 and minus 5 and 5 we have to find the largest one. So for that again we have to consider the first two, that is 1 and minus 5. 1 is greater than minus 5. We have to swap. So minus 5 comes here, 1 goes here, and after this we have to consider the next two, minus 5 and 5. Okay. Sorry, we have already swapped this. So for the next iteration we have 1 and 5. So we check whether 1 is greater than 5. No, 1 is less than 5. Okay, no need to do anything. So after this we should not consider these things. So as a result, the 5 in its final position. So after this is for the next iteration we have to consider the remaining, only 2 are left. So here again the same condition is tested, whether the first element is greater than second element. No, minus 5 is less than 1. Okay, no need to swap. So that's why here you can observe all the elements are sorted in ascending order. So we have minus 5, after that 1, after that 5, after that 12, and after that 16. So in this way this bubble sort algorithm will work to sort the given set of elements in either ascending or descending order. So here we have considered an example for sorting the elements in ascending order using bubble sort. Consider the program. Okay. So here we consider the same example in line with this particular program. So till this point we have already discussed. So now this, as I told you, this is the actual heart of this particular program. So here we have used the 2 for loops, that is nested for loop. Nested means this entire for loop is a part of this particular for loop. So that's why here by this indentation you will come to know this for loop will start here and it will end here. Okay, so from start to end, whatever the contents are there, so all these are the the part of this outer for loop. So that's why when we have the 2 for loops in this way, so we refer the first for loop as the outer for loop and the second for loop as the inner for loop. Okay, so here for I equal to 0, I less than n minus 1, I plus plus. So this is for the number of iterations. Okay, so here in our example we had how many elements? 5 elements. Okay, so 5 element means here this for loop is for the number of iterations. So in order to sort these 5 elements, how many iterations we took? This is the first iteration, this is second iteration, this is third iteration, and this is fourth iteration. Okay, so in the fourth iteration you came to know that the elements are in already sorted. So that's why here the value of I will range from 0 to n minus 1. Less than n minus 1 means it is like n minus 2. So actually only 3 iterations are sufficient. Okay, so that's why for these iterations we have this particular for loop. So for I equal to 0, I less than n minus 1, I plus plus. So here the value of n, what is the value of n? N is 5. Okay, so it will be I less than 5 minus 1, that is 4. I less than 4 means when I value becomes 4, the condition will be false. So that's why this this for loop will be executed for I equal to 0, I equal to 1, I equal to 2, and I equal to 3. When I becomes 4, the condition becomes false. So that's why the loop is going to execute how many times? 4 times. So that's what here. This is first time, this is second time, this is third time, and this is fourth time. So this is when I equal to 0, this is when I equal to 1, this is when I equal to 2, this is when I equal to 3. Okay, so each time whenever for each iteration what we do, so we go on comparing the adjacent elements. So first we compare the first 2 elements, in the second time we consider second and third, the next time we consider third and fourth, next time we consider fourth and fifth, and so on, if we have the more number of elements. So that's why to perform this we have used one more for loop. So here for this for loop will also start from 0 only, that is for j equal to 0, because we have to start from the first element only. But here there is a restriction on the last element. Why? Because each time whenever you place the largest element at its final position, going for the next iteration we should not consider this one. So that's why here in the first iteration the number of elements to be sorted were 5, but for the second iteration the number of elements to be sorted is 4. In the next iteration the number of elements to be sorted is 3. In the next iteration the number of sorted elements to be sorted is 2. So gradually it is going to decrease. So here 5 elements were there, so here 4, here 3, here 2. Okay, so in order to implement this we have the for loop in this way. So for j equal to 0, j less than n minus 1 minus I, j plus plus. So remember this, it is n minus 1 minus I, this is not only n minus 1, remember this. Here in this example the n is 5, so n minus 1 will become 4. as the value of I is going to increase, the value of this is going to decrease. Remember, okay. You consider one simple iteration for the first one only. So initially I will be equal to 0. So when I equal to 0, this for loop starts execution. Okay. So here also initially j will be equal to 0. So I is also 0, j is also 0. So here what statement we have? We have used the if statement to compare the adjacent elements. Okay. So here what we do? We check if a of j is greater than a of j plus 1. What is a of j here? J is 0. Means if you consider this as the array A, so the index starts from 0, that we know. So a of 0 is greater than 0 plus 1, that is 1. So we have to consider whether a of 0 is greater than a of 0 plus 1, that is 1. This is a of 0, this is a of 1. So we have to check whether the a of 0 is greater than a of 1, whether the first element is greater than second element. If the first element is greater than second element, what we have to do? We have to swap, means we have to exchange the content of both the elements. Okay. So to exchange the contents of both the elements, we have these three lines. So these are the three standard lines that you have to remember. Okay. Like here temp equal to a of j equal to a of j plus 1, a of j plus 1 equal to temp. Means here try to understand these lines here itself. See here, when we came to know that this 5 is greater than 1, what we have to do? We have to keep 5 in place of 1 and 1 in place of 5. Try to remember this, try to understand this very carefully. Why we have to implement in this way? So when you want to store 5 in place of 1 and 1 in place of 5, how to do this? Okay. So if you place 5 in place of 1, what happens? This 1 will be replaced with 5. But here when 1 is replaced with 5, so how come we you store 1 in place of 5? It is not possible. So that's why in order to swap these two contents, we take one simple empty cell, and what we do is first we keep this 5 in that temporary variable. Okay. So when this first value is kept in temporary variable, what we do? We keep the second value in the first place. Okay. And after that, whatever the first value placed in this temporary, so this will be stored back here. So that's why here you can see this temp means the temporary variable. A of j is the first element, a of j plus 1 is the second element. Okay. So as I told you, how we perform the swapping? First we store this one in the temporary variable. So this is temp and this is a of j. So we write temp equal to a of j, means this a of j is placed in the temp variable. Okay. So after this we write a of j equal to a of j plus 1. So what is a of j? This is a of j. In place of this, what we had? A of j plus 1. So a of j equal to a of j plus 1 means this 1 is added here. Okay. So after this, a of j plus 1 equal to temp. In temp what we have done? So in temp we have kept the first value, that is 5. So when you write a of j plus 1 equal to temp, the content of temp is stored in the second position. So in this way actually the swapping will work. So here just as an example we have taken these three cells, but here the swapping and this sorting is no more actually related, because you should not consider like when we place 5 here, this 12 will be replaced and where the 12 will go and all. So just to show, just to tell you how exactly the swapping will works, we have taken this as a temporary variable. We have considered as this is empty, but actually as per our example we have 12 here. Remember this. Okay. So in this way the swapping will work. So this is for the first iteration, that is when this particular if loop is executed, if statement is executed. So after this what it will do? It will not come out of this loop, because this is a looping statement. It will go back here. When it go back to this particular for loop, so this j value will be incremented by 1. So j was initially 0, now j becomes 1. So after this, when j is incremented, it will check this condition. What is the value of j? J is 1, n is 5, 5 minus 1, it is 4. So 4 minus I is 0. So 4 minus 0, it is 0 only. So 1 less than 4, the condition is true. The condition is true. So again it will execute this if statement. So this time if a of j greater than a of j plus 1, again the same condition is executed, but previously j value was 0, now j value is 1. So when j value is 1, so it becomes a of 1 greater than a of 1 plus 1, that is 2. Means we have to consider a of this is 0, so this is 1. So that's why in the second iteration we have to consider the next two elements. So that's why we have to consider a of 1 is 5 and a of 2 is 12. So that's why we increment the value of j, and by this statement again we will check whether the a of 1 is greater than a of 2. Okay. So if this condition is false, so here actually the 5 is not greater than 12, means this condition is false. When this condition is false, it will not execute these lines. Remember this. These lines are executed only if this condition is true. As this condition is false, these lines will not be executed. Then what it will do? Again, instead of executing these lines, it will simply report back to this for loop. So as to increment the j value by 1. So j was 1. Now after incrementing, j becomes 2. And again it will check this condition whether 2 less than 4. No. 2 less than 4, the condition is true. So once again it will consider this one. So here j is 2 and 2 plus 1 become 3. So it will consider j of 2, that is 12, and j of 3 is minus 5. So in this way the adjacent elements will be compared each time, and whenever the first element is greater than second element, the swapping takes place. Understood this? So whenever the j value will incremented to, after that it becomes 3. Okay. So after that it will become 4. When j becomes 4, the 4 less than 4, the condition is false. So this time you have reached this particular line. So after this what you have to do? By leaving this, you have to consider the remaining one. So that's why whenever this inner for loop is completed, now it will report back to this outer for loop. When it reports back to outer for loop, now again I will be incremented here. So I was 0, now I is incremented to 1. So when I becomes 1, again this for loop will start execution. Okay. Again the for loop will this for loop will resume from 0 to j minus n minus 1 minus I. Okay. But here previously we had I equal to 0. So that's why 5 minus 1 minus 0, it was 4. But now I has become 1. So it is n minus 1 minus 1, that is 5 minus 2, it is 3. Okay. So that's why you see we have to consider only 4 elements. So that's why the index value will be only from 0, 1, 2 and 3, not 4. Okay. So as a result, through this inner for loop we are going to skip considering the element which is already placed in its final position. Okay. So I hope all of you understood this particular logic, how exactly the bubble sort algorithm is implemented. Okay. So again this outer for loop will be executed till n minus 1. Okay. So n minus 1 means it is 5 minus 4. So that is 0 to this location. So as a result, whenever this outer for loop also completes its execution, so whatever the content of array A is there, the elements will be sorted in ascending order. Okay. So in this way this bubble sort algorithm will work, and once you complete the sorting, you have to display the sorted elements. So for that again we have this heading, that is printf array elements after sorting. So we will display this message on the screen, and below this once again we display the content of array as we did here. That is again the same statements. For I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, printf %d/n a of I. So in this way the bubble sort algorithm can be implemented in C program. Hope all of you understood this, but still if you have any confusion or any doubts, please feel free to ask me regarding that. So now let us run this particular program. Okay. So when you run this program, so first it will ask you to enter the size. Okay. Enter the size of array. Although we have taken the size of array as 10, again we are asking from the user, because whenever we declare an array variable we take some sufficiently large size, but again it depends on the user how many elements he want to enter. Okay. So here what I will do, I will consider only 8 elements. So I will enter array size as 8. So after this it is asking to enter the array elements. So enter the array elements. So I'll enter the array elements. How many elements I have to enter? 8 elements I have to enter. So I'll enter the elements as 12, 58, minus 90, not 50 again, we should 57, 0, minus 85, 63, and 50, 58. It's over. Yeah, it's over. You can take, but I don't want to take it. Okay. So after this, you just see that array elements before sorting. So before sorting means as it is we display the elements whatever that we have read. That is, first it will display 12, after that 58, after that minus 90, 57, 0, minus 85, 63, and 56 as it is. So after this we know that by this algorithm we are going to sort. So the sorted elements we display here, that is array elements after sorting. So if you sort these elements, so the sorted elements are, first we have minus 90, after that minus 85, 0, 12, 56, 57, 58, 63. Okay, so this is the elements after sorting. Hope all of you understood this program. So still if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.